So the objective for us for today is to understand the purpose and process of research writing. Now, reasons. Now, I'm sure you all came across different kind of questions whose answers various writers and researchers keep looking for. For example, and this is the question mentioned in the reading as well, when was the China Wall built? There could be other questions of a similar kind. When were Egyptian pyramids built? Or how Egyptian pyramids were built? There could be questions related to many disciplines. Another question would be, or can be, is life on Mars possible? Another question could be, can human beings fly? Now, all these kinds of questions might not have an immediate answer. So if I put this question to you or any of these questions to you, what will you do? Where will you find the answer of this question? Anybody would like to say about it? If I put any of these questions to you, where will you try to find the answer of the question?
Sir, we will search it through internet.
Okay, good.
So we
So
find it on
basically you will
research.
internet, and what was the second thing you said?
We will find it on historic books, articles, or
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. So you can explore internet, or you can explore books of history, or you can look into articles about all these issues to which these questions belong. That is exactly right. These are a few places where we can look for the questions, the answers of questions that I just asked you. Now, in fact, when you look for the answer of a question of this kind, you are already undertaking research. So something has been searched in the past by somebody else, and you want to undertake a fresh search of the same issue. That is research. All right. So this helps us to understand that one primary reason to undertake research is to answer various questions related to different fields of our life, or related to different subjects, or related to different disciplines. Now, once you have undertaken that research, you looked for the books and the articles and internet, and you found the answer or possible answer of a question. Now, is that sufficient to find the answer? Or do we need to do something else as well?
we have to
Is it
write on research
very
paper.
okay? So it is not sufficient just to find the answer. Okay, nobody can open your brain and look into it. What is the answer, right? So basically, not only you have to find the answer, but you have to present that answer to the world as well. All right. So you present that answer in various forms. There are so many ways to present that answer. But one of the most common ways to present that answer is to present it in the form of a research paper. The research paper is also called an academic paper. Therefore, The second reason for writing research is to be able to present the findings of the research that we undertook. We can think, what kind of research have we conducted in past? Now, through this question, I want you to think about some very common examples of research that we undertook. I can give you one example. So I wanted to, I lost my, mobile phone set. I wanted to purchase a new one. But I wanted a certain kind of mobile phone with certain features in it. I saw many people using various kinds of mobiles, and I knew that mobiles have many kinds. So basically, I could not randomly pick any mobile because I had my preferences. What did I do? I Googled the kind of mobiles I wanted to buy, the ones which were available in the market in Pakistan. And I got to know that there were detailed reviews on almost any mobile set that I wanted to know about. So I read those reviews. Some of them were written by some high-tech people, and some of those reviews were written by random users. I preferred the ones which were written by some tech experts. And then I was also able to, from one particular website, compare and contrast 3 to 4 mobile phones which were my top preference. And after comparing them, then I reached to the final choice of a phone that I wanted to buy. Now, you students, you might have noticed that this was not a very brief process. It might have taken, quite a number of hours. You will also agree that many of you might have done this process. If not about mobile phone, about something else, about a car, about a bike, or whatever, maybe about earbuds or a good speaker. So what does that mean? That means that we have to find the answers of our question. My question was, which mobile phone is the best for me? That was my question. I needed the answer of this question, right? I explored the answer of this question from various web pages which wrote opinion about various mobile phones. So when I did this whole process of reaching the answer of this question, which mobile phone is the best one for me, I conducted research. Now, this is my example of conducting research in my own life. Can some of you give any examples of conducting research in your own lives? Yes, students, I'm sure you have done it, okay, one way or the other. Any examples of conducting research in your own life?
Sir, searching for the best college or university.
Very
Uh,
good. Excellent. Yes, Maya, that is really great because it applies to almost all of you, right? Yes. And you wanted to say something else?
no, sir, thank you.
Okay, no. So when you looked for a university, did you do this process on your own, or you had a choice? You had your mind made up beforehand?
No, sir, I had a choice.
No, did you choose the university without conducting any research?
No, sir, research की थी.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So can you tell us briefly how did it go?
Yes, sir. I had several options. Like, I had decided my major already, मतलब English literature. So I thought I did research के इस हवाले से कौन सी better है, and
Okay.
also like uh, where I would adjust better. So उस हिसाब से sir, we went to several universities. Me and my father, we also went to Punjab University,
Okay.
and then Sir Lahore College for Women, and then Kinnaird. We went to several universities, and then we decided that FC was good.
Okay. So basically, you visited all these universities. Is this
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay?
sir.
That is nice. So basically, visiting a university, or reading about the university from their web pages, it is almost uh, similar activity in the sense that the purpose of both activities is to do some research about different institutions which are among your choices, right? Now, uh, that is a nice example, of course. And the question for Sumaya was, which English department suits her the best? And she found the answer by visiting the available choices. By visiting, we mean by observing the system of all these universities. And she reached the conclusion. And that is a very good example of how we actually conduct research. And we always do that in our day to day life as well. One more example, if somebody could present one more example of conducting research in day to day life. Where you might have conducted some research. Did you ever choose a best bus service from the ones available? Did you ever rent a place to live, a house or a hotel? Did you just pick the place, the first place came your way, or you did some research about it? Did you ever live in a hostel? Did you explore which hostel option was the best for you? Did you eat food outside ever in your life? Okay. Did you make any comparison, or you just walked into the first restaurant which you found on your way? Did you check the menu beforehand? Did you check the price
Sir,
beforehand? Yes, yes, go ahead.
while buying cars, some used cars, we go in the market and see all available options
Yeah, yeah, very
to
good.
check out which one is more feasible and suitable for
Yeah,
our
yeah,
use. They are rated from the 10 by 9, 8 by 10. So
yeah, yeah,
depending on the ratings,
very good. So you study the rating of one car, and then you study the rating of the other car, and then you make a comparison between both of them, right? And then you see that which one suits you better. But then you have to look at so many other options as well. What size of the car you need, what brand you need. You have to look at the fuel consumption. You have to look at the mileage. You have to look at the color. You
we
have
have
to
online resources to compare
Very
such
good.
things. such as park wheels. We can compare two different vehicles at the same time.
Very good. Excellent. So these are the resources, that you can consult in order to make that kind of comparison. It facilitates you in the comparison, right? Now, as Sumaya gave us the example of universities, you visit those universities and you might get an understanding of the quality of teaching or the quality of the, environment, general environment in those universities. You can observe all that by visiting them. But that example might not work in all cases. For example, if you want to choose the best flight for you, the best airline for you for a certain travel, you cannot, of course, travel all those lines to make up your mind. All right. Similarly, in the cases of buying a car, if you're buying a used car and one car is in Lahore, the other one is Jhelum, the third one is Gujranwala, you cannot go and visit the places and actually try the car, right? You have to do some reading of the cars from various resources before you can actually make up your mind, okay, this is the last option you have, right? But these are very good examples of, students, how we do conduct research in our day-to-day lives. Okay, maybe we are not aware of that. In choosing the best clothing brand, you do research for that. Maybe the information about the choice of the clothing brand does not necessarily come from a web page. You might like to get information from any of your friends about the durability of a certain, piece of clothing or other factors, related to clothing. So, well, these are all examples of buying and purchasing. The first example was about admission, but then I'm sure there are many other examples as well where you do carry out some basic research before you make up your mind. Now, the benefit of recalling these examples is just to kind of make you feel comfortable with the process of research. Remember the ultimate end in your mind, which is to answer a question. That is the ultimate end. But of course, in order to answer that question, if you are in the setting of a university, you have to present the answer in the form of a paper. Okay? But still remember that that is the end, to answer the question. Are you able to answer the question? Are you not able to answer the question? That is what decides the quality of the research that you undertake. Okay, so moving on to some examples of research at work. These examples that you gave me, they were real life examples. But let's look at the possible professions as well. Can research really be useful in the jobs that you people are going to do in future, or in the jobs that some of you might already be doing? Okay, so these four are the major, not major, a few examples of the possible professions. First one being medical laboratory and working in that as a technician. The other one is small business owner, being an owner of a small business. Third one is information technology professional, IT professional. And the fourth one is freelance magazine writer. So for a medical laboratory technician, it is almost obvious that a technician has to undertake some research to find the answer of the question. The question could be, for example, if the technician has to carry out an experiment to detect a certain virus in the blood specimen which has been given to her or him, then the medical technician will undertake that experiment based upon the protocol which that technician is already aware of, and then will reach the answer whether this blood specimen is virus positive or virus negative. Of course, this technician is trained to do it, but this technician has to repeat that research every time the specimen comes to her and draw the answer every time. And then based upon that research that technician does, the technician has to write a report as well, what we call lab report. That lab report might not be the research paper that you people will write for this course, but this is an example of how the findings of a research have to be recorded as well in various forms. In this case, in the form of medical technician, the findings of the research have to be recorded in mostly in statistical form. Then this report could go to another specialist, and that specialist might write, a paragraph about it. Okay, we call that radiologist. Okay, radiologists usually they give, their observation in the form of a paragraph. Okay, and if further on, this report is going to be used for any educational purposes, it is there that it can develop into a full-fledged research paper as well. Anyways, the second example, small business owner. So before a business owner starts a business, the owner has to undertake some research to determine the acceptability of the product which that person aims to sell, and has to look at so many other factors as well, has to compare the cost and profit ratio. So the research is about how much money to spend on it and how much profit will come out of it. The research will be about what will be the acceptance of this product in this particular market, and then the business owner has to compare the available businesses about the same product which this business owner wants to develop. And then having done all that analysis, the business owner will have to write a report as well for her own record. All right. So this is another example where we understand that without carrying out proper research, the small business owner will be just risking the capital that she or he wants to spend or invest. For IT professional, this is almost obvious, probably the word troubleshoot is the most favorite word for IT people. Okay, so there are always problems which IT people have to resolve. There are always questions. Why my screen is trembling, starting from that primary thing to all that software system which goes behind it. Okay, so they have to deal with research all the time. Freelance magazine writers, again, they have to do some research before they are able to write a piece. Okay, so these are 4 examples of research at work. But based upon that, here is one activity that I'm assigning to you as a homework before we move on to the next slide. I'm telling you this assignment right now. You will do it later after today's class, but we will then continue with the class. So activity is that think about the job of your dreams. How might you use research writing skills to perform that job? Okay, please take down this activity for your own record. I can also put it in the chat box. You can take a screenshot or whatever way you want to record it. Think about the job of your dreams. How might you use research writing skills to perform that job? So you have to share your responses at the beginning of next class. Each one of you have to share your response, okay? All right. Now, after having understood that research is important not only for our day-to-day activities and for our day-to-day needs, but also research is important for our professions that we join. Then we move on to the next part, which is the process of research writing or the process of writing a research paper. So these are the 6 steps. The purpose of putting these 6 steps over here and the purpose of going over them is just to, at this time, give you an idea of what the research paper will look like. In future, in the next classes, we will discuss each of these points in more detail. Okay, so these are the 6 points. When you write a research paper, you have to take care of these 6 elements, these 6 steps, so to say. The first step in writing your research paper is to choose a topic. So what your research is going to be about. It is very important to have a topic, because if you don't have a topic, you don't have a direction, what you are going to write about. So the topic gives a focus to your research. Also, the topic is the starting point. You have to start somewhere. So you need a topic. And then finally, the topic determines whether the research that you are going to undertake, it is doable or it is not doable. For example, if you say that you want to write about the rocks on Mars, okay, you might feel that the rocks on Mars could be an interesting topic, but the research on it might not be doable. Why? Because at this time, not much information is available about the rocks on Mars. Therefore, you won't be able to actually make your observation. You won't be able to read the relevant material. You won't find any web pages, or you won't find many web pages about the rocks on the Mars. You won't find many books and articles about that. If you can't find much information about a topic, you can't write a paper on it. So the topic is a key, it kind of helps you to make up your mind whether the research is doable or not. So the topic is the first step, choosing a topic. The second step is to plan and schedule time to research and write. Now, the essays you used to write in the past, students, those essays did not require much planning and scheduling of time, because you were supposed to write an essay out of all the information which you already had in your mind. So you actually could just sit on one spot and write the whole of the essay in 1 to 2 hours. But now the research paper that you have to write, it is much extensive exercise. You have to do the research and then you have to write the paper. So it's like almost writing the paper in 1 semester, in 4 months. Therefore, and then You are writing the paper which is much lengthier than an essay. Therefore, you have to, in fact, write down the plan and then schedule the time, both for the research and for the writing. So maybe you need to open up your calendar and post various milestones on that. Well, the first 1 week for research, the second week for reading, the third week for writing, like that. The fourth week for revision, right? So that way you have to plan and schedule time for research and write. And then when you are in your undergrad courses, you might have to write a paper for almost every course. That means you are writing 3 to 4 to 5 papers in one semester. Therefore, planning and scheduling, it becomes so important. So you have a plan and schedule for each paper separately, so that there is no overlapping of time, there is no conflict of time. 3 of the professors might give you the deadline of the same day. Now, if when they give you the deadline, if your response is, if you say, well, I can't manage to write 3 papers and submit them on the same day, it's not humanly possible. In fact, this is not a solid excuse, because you don't start writing your paper the day your professor has given you the deadline. You plan to write the paper right from the day when your professor told you that you are supposed to write a paper and submit it till the end of the semester. So you start writing paper right from the first day. Of course, you won't actually write that paper you are going to submit, but you write your plan and you start doing that research and that reading process. And you know that you should be able to finish your paper at least 2 to 3 days before the deadline. The third step after planning and scheduling is conducting the research. Once you have your plan in place and once you have scheduled your time, now you should start conducting your research. Conducting research could be time consuming. You might have to visit places. You might have to interview people and meet them. And the people you need to meet for the interview, they might not be free and available to you right away. So they might tell you to meet them after 2 months. So conducting research is very time consuming. Then in many cases, you have to read a lot of material. You need time for that too. So reading, in fact, is part of the research that you are conducting. You're looking for the answer of a question. You might look for the answer on the web pages, through the books, through the articles, by interviewing people, by visiting places. There are so many ways. Each one of you might have a different depending upon the topic that you choose. So after you have conducting the research, for the time which you already have blocked out for yourself, then you move on to the next step. You organize your research and ideas. So you kept reading various books and various articles. So you found the part of the answer in one book and part of the answer, another part of the answer in another article. You also interviewed somebody and you want to include the information from those interviews in your paper. So all the ideas that you came across during the research process, those ideas are scattered. You want to put them together in your research paper. So what do you need to do? You need to first of all organize your ideas. ideas of the same kind could come together. So the fourth step, therefore, is organizing your research and ideas. Once you have the ideas in an organized manner, then you draft your paper. You write the first draft of your paper. And then the last sixth step is you reread the draft and edit it. Once you have done that, it is ready to be submitted. So this is what research paper will look like. And I'm sure you can very clearly see how this kind of paper is so different from the essays that you have been writing in the past. Even the essay that you might have written for WRCM 101. That essay was so different from the kind of paper we are planning to write for this course. So the takeaways from today's presentation is that research is in almost all disciplines. It is everywhere. Because research is in almost all disciplines, therefore, for each one of you taking WRCM 102, research is important not just for this course, but it will be important for you for all other courses that you will study. And then the second important takeaway is that research is not a random process. We don't conduct research in a random manner. Rather, it is a process, and that process is a well-organized process. So you have to do the research through that process. I just told you the steps for doing that. So this is the end of today's presentation. Students, do you have any questions?